What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, check this out. So you guys will remember last week I did a video talking about how Aquaman 2, people were mad that Aquaman 2 wasn't getting the same kind of hate and same kind of criticism that the Marvels was receiving because Aquaman 2 flopped out of the gate, okay, on its opening weekend. Its opening box office weekend was a giant flop, all right? But we already saw that coming. So to me, that was a nothing burger. But everybody was talking about it. Oh, well, why aren't you guys criticizing Aquaman like you did the Marvels? Oh, it must be because you're misogynist and because you're haters and because you're sexist and blah, 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 blah. Okay, remember I did that video. If you guys didn't see it, I'll link it above. Check it out. But here's the thing. Okay? Aquaman 2, regardless of the box office, whatever was going to happen, Aquaman 2, number one, was going to be a flop. I already called that way back in January of 2023. Because I said once James Gunn rebooted the universe, that was it. It was a wrap for all 2023 DCEU films. It was done. It was over with. They were all going to flop, and so far, I've been 100% right, okay? Now, Aquaman may be the best of all of those, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to be a giant flop. You know, this film cost, I think, $205 million. I think I keep seeing that number. $205 million to produce. And then probably another $100 million you could guess on marketing. So we're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of $600 million to break even. This thing ain't gonna come close to $600 million. But that's besides the point. Regardless of what this film does in the box office, it really doesn't matter because ultimately the Marvels is still a bigger flop. It's still a bigger flop just for the fact that it spent much more money. All right, the Marvel spent $275 million to only make $205 million, okay? Only making $205 million in the box office right off rip, that is a absolute bomb. And I already said, look, Aquaman is going to get more than $205 million in the box office. And I was right. And you can see right here on Box Office Mojo, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, $258 million worldwide in only 2 weekends, guys. Only 2 weekends. It took the Marvels a month and a half to get to that $205 million. You know, it's still trucking along, okay? I think that thing is still in theaters somewhere out there, but it ain't making no money. But Aquaman, I said, Aquaman is going to pass that up. And it passed it up with ease. And I also said that it was going to be a much bigger international play. And as you can see, it's definitely trending heavy on the international. So internationally, we don't know how these other countries are pulling for Aquaman. I think it definitely will crack $100 million domestically. But yeah, internationally, I think it's going to do much of its money over there. And so, yeah, Aquaman was always going to do better than the Marvels. I don't know why them other people last week was all crying and complaining about it. And that was the other part, is that Aquaman is the finality of the DCEU. That's what really made this whole conversation disingenuous, right? Because we knew this was over, okay? The DCEU was done, all right? It was over. It's a wrap. Turn out the lights. The party is over. Meanwhile, the Marvels is part of an ongoing cinematic universe, the cinematic universe of all cinematic universes, the MCU. Nobody's done it better. The MCU has printed out billion-dollar hit after billion-dollar hit after billion-dollar hit. Okay, so to sit up here and try to compare the Aquaman sequel to the Marvels, all right, to compare these two sequels just because the original films both made a billy, all right, it's not, again, it's disingenuous. With the Marvels, we're getting the ongoing story continuing forward. We're supposed to get new information. Oh, man, what's going to happen? What does Kevin Feige have in store for us? What's coming up next? You know, what information are we going to learn here that'll prepare us for the future Avengers films? You know, how is this going to tie into that and all of that kind of stuff? This thing was over. It's done, okay? This was it for the DCEU. So to try to compare the two is just completely horseshit. It's disingenuous horseshit. And this is just people crying because their favorite movie, The Marvels, all right, or their ideological favorite movie, because nobody went to see this. I don't even know anybody who would have said this was their favorite movie of the year, unless you're just some identity politics wingbat. All of those people, those are the ones that were crying and complaining. But this week, all of them cats have gone radio silent. All of them are quiet as church mice, all right? You can see on this one, the Marvel stands been real quiet. Aquaman 2 made more in 2 weeks than the Marvels made in 2 months. And they showed this picture. Yeah, that's where it's at right now, okay? 205 on the worldwide. And then we got, light-skinned Mike like, ooh. And see, that's why you end up getting tweets like this. Because of all of these yahoos that just come out of the blue for no reason whatsoever, crying about Aquaman 2. Just should have let Aquaman 2 quietly flop and y'all keep y'all mouths shut. But y'all drag the Marvels back into it. So, all right, let's talk about the Marvels again and let's underscore how big of a flop the Marvels is. That's basically what y'all ended up doing. Y'all helping the Marvels stay in the limelight and in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. You know, y'all tried to save it. They've been trying to save this movie and make excuses for this movie before this movie even came out. And now Hollywood Handle got to come out. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom outgrossed the Marvels at the global box office. This cat said a week ago, bootlickers were tweeting about how the Marvels outperformed Aquaman 2 and the entire movie industry and fan base was sexist. Exactly. People need to learn to shut up. You know, hey, man, take your L and quietly go away into the corner. Quit trying to sit up there and make your L somehow a better L. You know, try to polish that turd. That's what happens when you try to polish. Well, you know, it's not as bad as this other turd over here. It's not as bad as Aquaman 2. Oh, no, it's worse than Aquaman 2. And now CBR got to come out with this article. Aquaman 2 gets big win over the Marvels in a box office battle. And honestly, man, this ain't even really a box office battle. Okay? This is just two movies that flopped. That's all it should have been. Two movies that flopped. Marvel's flopped. Aquaman flopped. Out of all the other flops that are out there in theaters, you know, that's all this should have been. But no. They tried to get some kind. That's what they wanted. They wanted a win. They wanted to get the Marvels a win. They were desperate to get the Marvels a win. And they could have went back to Blue Beetle or something, but they didn't do that. No, they were desperate to get the Marvels a win, so they dragged Aquaman 2 into the conversation. Okay? But they counted their chickens before they hatched, okay? Because now Aquaman 2 gets the big win. And it never would have been a subject. Nobody would have been talking about this if it wasn't for these idiots. I'm going to call them, I guess it's feminists. I don't know. Marvel stands, feminists, you know, morons, idiots, whatever you want to call them. They drug this movie into the mix and then it ended up getting stomped. That's what's so funny about this whole thing. It's kind of like watching, like you ever kicking it with a friend and you watching, you know, a game, you know, basketball, football, whatever. And, you know, his team is winning at halftime. And yeah, he's doing a little bit too much. OK, he's celebrating a little bit too hard. It's like, bro, you got a whole second half. Y'all only up by a couple of scores. OK, it ain't going to take much for, oh, no, baby, we got this. We got this. And then what ends up happening? You already know. Okay, that's what every last one of these chumps is doing right now, or what they did last week. Okay, and now they got to take this L, another L for the Marvels. It's hilarious, man. The Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom has struggled at the box office, though there is a little bit of good news for the sequel. After its second weekend in movie theaters, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom has surpassed $250 million at the global box office per the numbers. That's significantly higher than the total pulled in by the MCU's latest film, The Marvels, which was released on November 10 to just over $200 million earned. Both movies are considered to be disappointments. No, they're flops. They're box office bombs by any stretch of the imaginations, both of them by their respective studios. And though Aquaman 2 had a less impressive domestic opening than the Marvels, it made a lot more money overall, giving DC Studios and Warner Brothers Discovery a small win. Again, this isn't a win if it's not for the fact that these idiots decided to drag the Marvels in and do some sort of a compare and contrast with Aquaman 2. If they had just said nothing, if they had just absolutely kept their mouths shut, CBR can't write this article. They wouldn't even have anything to say. You know, there's all kinds of other films that Aquaman 2, but Aquaman 2 is probably going to beat all kind of other, the Blue Beetle, it's going to beat the Flash. It's probably going to be the biggest one of the year for DC. It's still going to be a flop, but it's going to be the biggest one for DC. But notice they wasn't doing this with any other films. It gets to Aquaman, and then the Marvel stands. And all of these feminists, they start screaming misogyny. And that's the thing that always pisses me off when you start going to the misogyny call, okay? You start saying that you hate women, and it's like, oh, okay, so now you calling me some kind of a name. Let's straight up break it down, okay? That's why I do the breakdowns that I do. When I say, okay, let's actually compare the Marvels, all right, a film that absolutely didn't work to a film that did work, like Barbie. Let's do that comparison, because that's a comparison that has nothing to do with misogyny, has nothing to do with sexism, because both are female-led films, female director, female cast, female. One won, one lost. Why? That's the thing that we need to look at. The Marvels was also a film that was more expensive to develop than the Aquaman sequel. While The Marvels reportedly had a budget of around $275 million, Aquaman and Lost Kingdom cost 125. No, it didn't. It cost $205 million. All right, let me check that. Yeah, $205 million. Okay, that's the budget, $205 million. And then remember, if you add in the marketing costs, which is probably about $100 million that Warner Brothers would have spent to market with the trailers, with all the ads and the billboards and everything, and then you multiply that times 2, all right, because they split the box office down the middle, roughly 50-50 split with the theaters, you're looking at this film needing about $610 million just to break even. Just to break even, it needed somewhere in that range, all right? And it ain't gonna make $600 million. It's not even gonna make $500 million. I doubt it. It might get close. It might get past 400. I could see it maybe getting to 450, but that's about it, all right? It's still going to be a flop. It's still going to be a box office bomb, all right? Let's not get it twisted. But nevertheless, again, all of this talk is all because these cats decided to open their yap, okay? And start complaining about, oh, the Marvels isn't getting all of the credit it deserves. You know, you guys are ripping the Marvels, rip Aquaman. Well, now we can't rip Aquaman because Aquaman did better than the Marvels, all right? But the funny thing is we're still saying that Aquaman's a flop, all right? I think the big issue when it came to the Marvels is it's such an ideological movie, all right? They just threw it in our faces. and said, yes, this is all about identity politics. That's what this movie is for. That's why this character exists at all. It's for the identity politics. That's what it's all about. And it didn't play to its main audience, all right? Males. It didn't play to the male audience that normally shows up for comic book movies. Oh, well, you get what you get. Anyway, folks, I'm just laughing at this whole story. You guys let me know what you think about this situation. I just think it's funny, okay? You run your mouth, okay? Let this be a lesson to you. Wait until the end of the game to cheer, okay? You're going to be watching some college and, NFL. Wait till the end of the game to cheer, all right? Don't be cheering at halftime because by the time the fourth quarter comes running around, yeah, you might be looking really stupid. But you guys let me know what you think. Jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.